So welcome to this owner's review of the Honda E. We've had this E for about 2 weeks now. Got it delivered to our home by the leasing company, and I guess this is probably going to be a little bit of a different review because we've had electric cars for several years now. This is going to be our 6th EV. We started off with Nissan Leaf, first generation Nissan Leaf. Then we had 3 i3s, a plug-in hybrid, Nissan Leaf, 3 i3s, plug-in hybrid, and we've currently got a Tesla Model 3 Performance. So this is going to be the 6th EV in our household. So we're really accustomed to driving EVs, and I think that was one of the reasons why the E appealed to us, because we knew exactly what we were getting. Having said that, because this is so new, there were definitely some things about this which I think only an owner would know, because obviously you can test drive these. We were able to test drive one at our local Honda dealer, but there are some things you obviously don't have time to realise or pick up in a test drive, and you only really learn through daily driving. So we've put 183 miles on this, 189 miles on this so far, which is nothing really, but in that time I've definitely noticed some irritations, I would say, which I think a lot of reviewers miss out on. And I've got to say as well, I find it so irritating that car reviewers across the world, like I've watched every single Honda E review on YouTube while I've been waiting for this to arrive, and it's so irritating hearing car reviewers parrot Honda's press release, about this feeling like a living room and about it having the qualities of a what was the language that they used? Like a modern living room, a modern sitting room. I understand why they're saying that, because it's like TV screens and comfy chairs, but it's so lazy, because I think pretty much every reviewer said it. Every reviewer's talked about how this feels so comfy. Every reviewer's talked about the 3-pin plug. Every reviewer's talked about the HDMI. And I'll definitely talk about those in time, but I'm much more interested in telling you what this feels like to drive, some of the irritations, some of the cool things about ownership. As you probably know if you're watching this has got quite a reduced range compared to other modern EVs. So, for example, it's quoted as having around 125 miles range. Again, I think because of the climate, I'm filming this in autumn 2020, because of the temperature, because of the way we drive fast, enjoying the electric torque, this realistically has a range of about, for us at least, it has a range of 105 miles, which, when you compare that to the Tesla, I appreciate it's a completely different price range, but it's pretty crazy that this modern EV's got such limited range. Having said that, we knew that when we bought this, we knew when we placed an order that this was going to be a city car. We knew it wasn't going to be for long range journeys. We'll use the Tesla for that. This is for bombing around the streets, and popping to the shops and picking the kids up and all that type of thing. This is absolutely, for us, the number of times we're gonna go long distance in this is it's going to be very few and far between. So we knew coming into this that it wasn't that the range wasn't going to be a deal breaker. Having said that, it is irritating that this seems to be quite a thirsty car. So I appreciate it's Honda's first outing with an EV, but it doesn't seem super efficient, and especially coming from the Model 3 and the i3, which the Model 3 is really efficient, even the performance version, but the i3 was pretty efficient as well, and I just feel like Honda they've like rushed this out and they haven't really thought about how they can eke out maximum efficiency. So this sounds really negative. I really love this car. When I get the choice to drive the Model 3 Performance or this, I take this because I love the Model 3 and it's a hell of a car. It's so fast. It's absolutely insanely fast, and it's thrilling to drive. But this has got like character, and it's like the Model 3 is fun in a point and shoot way, and you know, it's really comfortable and stuff like that. But this is characterful and amusing to drive. Like this is rear wheel drive, and it's got it's nowhere near as fast as the Model 3 Performance, but it's got an entertainment value, I would say, and I appreciate it's a real like luxury to be able to have a car that's just fun, you know, that's like and especially in this day and age when people are losing their jobs and stuff like that. You know, you're very lucky if you're able to have a car that's just for having a laugh, whatever. This is my wife's car, but I'd definitely steal it at any opportunity to have a laugh in. Oh, got a Tesla. You're gonna be 5 minutes. Oh, there's lots of cars here today. Actually, do you know what? I was gonna put this on rapid charge, but I think we will go for a drive instead. And we'll come back and see if that Tesla's finished. Or should we park it over there? Let's pop it over here on the grass. This is one of the comedy things about the E, I suppose, that you can get away with parking it really in tiny little spaces because it's so diminutive. So yeah, let's talk about the things which are like pretty irritating about this car. This isn't in any order, but one of the things that really pissed me off is for all this technology, the screens are laggy and buggy. There's no driver profiles, so whoever used this last and whatever settings they had on in these screens, they're stuck on here. And so my wife and I take it in turns in driving this, and we both like different screens on, you know, like she likes this clock, I like power flow and CarPlay and stuff like that, and it's so basic that you can't have it's unacceptable that you can't have driver profiles on this, you know, like it's 2020 Honda. What are you doing? Why can't we have for people that don't realise what I'm talking about, driver profiles would be, you know, like depending on which key you're using or which phone you're using with this car, that would alter the settings and the display and stuff. But basically whatever you use, whether it's whichever key or whatever, you're still stuck with the same screens. Right, I'm going to plug this in. Here's some footage of me plugging it in and this rapid charging. This is going to be this car's first rapid charge. It's never been rapid charged yet. It's only had AC charging so far in its life. So this is going to be its inaugural rapid charge. Anyway, I'm going to plug this in, check out some rapid charging footage, and then we'll head back on the road. So welcome back. We are sitting in the E at the minute. It is taking quite a long time to charge. It's another one of the minor irritations that it's not set up for super fast, super rapid charging. Unlike, again, it's an unfair comparison, but unlike the Teslas. But I feel like I've been really critical of this car over the last 20 minutes or so. I think the reason I'm being critical is that it's a really awesome little car. It's really, really awesome, and some of the minor irritations, they just spoil the party a bit. Like, if Honda had just taken a little bit more time and ironed out these things, maybe they can be ironed out in software as well. Things like the infotainment, the lagginess. Perhaps they're going to be able to unlock faster charging as they get a bit more data and information about how this soaks up the energy. Anyway, I'm going to stop whinging about the little things in this car, and instead I'm going to talk about the awesome things. So here's a little peek around the interior. As you've probably seen in a lot of reviews previously, it's got this nice kind of center console with the different selectors here, and in daily driving it works really, really well. It's simple to use, it makes sense, you can access them really quickly. You probably saw me earlier, like when I was reversing and things. It's just intuitive. Even after 2 weeks of driving, I don't need to look down really. I know what I'm pressing. Reverse is this nice, it's this button here, obviously with the R on it. It's got this nice action which you push, you kind of pull it in to activate reverse, and it's just really sensible. It feels nice. Your fingers know where to go to activate it. Okay, I said I wasn't going to say anything more about irritations and things. A big irritation with this car: one pedal driving should be on as standard. This button, every time you drive, every single time you switch the car on, you've got to press this button to activate one pedal driving. And when we're back on the road after we're finished charging here, I'll show it again in more detail. But every time you start the car, you've got to press this button to activate one pedal driving, and it's really irritating. I want to drive with one pedal all of the time, Honda. I don't want to have to manually activate it each time. What tends to happen for me is I get in the car, I start driving, I take my foot off the accelerator expecting the car to slow down, and it doesn't, and I panic and quickly have to look down here to think, where's the one pedal driving button? I take my eyes off the road for 5 seconds to press this button, because it's one that isn't well defined. Unlike these other ones, which you can kind of feel with your fingers, this one, because it's made out of the same material as this surround, it's not super easy to find with your fingers. So it's an irritation, Honda. Please, for the love of God, change the software, make it so that one pedal driving is on by default, and that you deactivate it using this button. Okay, back onto the positive things. All the other buttons are awesome. The handbrake is fine. This amusingly doesn't have an eco mode. So you'll see when we're finished charging here, when you're driving back, when we're driving back, I'll put it in sport mode. All it has is normal and sport mode, which I think is quite funny, given that like every single EV on the planet has, eco normal or eco comfort and sport. Honda were like, screw that. No, we're going to just have, we'll have normal and sport, and that's it. And you know what? It works really well. It's cool when you want a bit of extra juice, when you want a bit of extra quicker throttle response. Yeah, stick it in sport mode, and you've got that. I think that the difference is marginal, because this is quite a nippy car anyway, even in normal mode. But just for shits and giggles, it's fun to stick it in sport mode. So yeah, those are the different drive selectors down there. it's a nice layout. You will notice, and I definitely feel this when I'm driving it, that there's no armrest. There's nothing there to place your arm on. My wife thinks that's awesome. She's really happy with that because she likes to keep things down here. So not having an armrest means this is really accessible to her. But for me, I like resting my arm on the bolster over here, and it would be nice to have something in the middle. I'm aware that there's a guy who's making 3D printed. He's 3D printed an armrest for the Honda E, so you can actually buy it. I think it's about 120 euros on the Honda forums, and it slots in there using these. He's 3D printed these things and then added bits on top of it to make an armrest basically. So I've forgotten that guy's name, but you can search for him if you're a Honda E owner. It's pretty cool. But because this is my wife's car and she likes not having an armrest in it, we aren't going to be buying that. So what else is really awesome about this? Well, yeah, you've heard it from every reviewer probably. You've heard it from some of the owners out there already. The side cameras work really, really well. There's excellent clarity even in rain and poor weather. You just automatically adjust to them. I don't have a problem with, like, my eyes don't have a problem adjusting to these either. I just glance in them. They just work. They're really, really good. And obviously, let's open this window. There we are on the outside. Obviously, they look really nice as well. I think it's hilarious that so many people comment on the aero benefits of the wing mirrors. I hear lots of reviewers like earnestly saying, "Oh yeah, the Honda's done amazing stuff here because the camera wing mirrors save 5%. They contribute a 5% efficiency for the car." It's like, are you having a laugh? I'm sure it's negligible. I'm sure like having the heating on or having a heavy right foot, or even just having a fat driver make much more of a difference to the range of this EV than the wing mirrors. But they look cool. They work really well. They're easy to use. I'm a big fan. I'm not such a big fan of this bad boy. So you'll probably have heard other reviewers saying this is the advanced Model E and it comes with the video camera rear view mirror as standard. As you probably well know, it's possible to flip between video and mirror with a simple toggle. For fun, I tend to keep it in video mode, but it is true, at least in my 2 weeks of driving this, that your eyes struggle to adapt to a video camera a video monitor up here. So when I'm driving along, looking out the window, looking at the windscreen, when you flick your eyes up here to see what's behind you, it does take like a second or two to refocus for your eyes to get used to this, and I think that is a big deal. It does make a difference, and it's tricky. I don't think it's a safety issue. I think it's probably just something that you learn to adapt to. But it's worth pointing out for people who are thinking about speccing this or who think it's going to like revolutionise the driving experience. It's a novelty in my opinion. Oh, I should say actually, one you'll see in the back of my car at the minute, I've got a tripod set up just so the camera's nice and stable. But when we've got, say, it's lockdown in the northeast at the minute, so we're not like picking loads of people up and going out all the time. But if we were, and for some reason you had two adults in the back, it would be difficult to see out the back of this because of the like narrow windscreen and the limited space in the back. So I absolutely understand why Honda went for the the video camera and the monitor for the rear, because it obviously makes visibility like way better. But the big two downsides for me are it takes time for your eyes to adjust. The other thing I've noticed is when it's absolutely throwing it down with rain, the camera at the back of the car does get like smudges and kind of just a little bit distorted, and that is obviously a concern. I'll try and drop in some footage, or I'll make another video about the limitations of this. But yeah, it's not perfect. It's not a deal breaker, but if you were thinking about speccing this as an option or something, my recommendation would be just save yourself some money, unless you're carrying adults like all the time in the back of this. But I imagine you're not going to be buying this car to be transporting 4 adults all the time. But for any of those niche purchasers out there who are thinking about buying it, don't spec it, save your money. The mirror's just as good. And the novelty will wear off. But overall, being in here is really, really nice. It's a nice cabin. The 2-spoke steering wheel is awesome. It feels like lively to drive. The selectors down here are well positioned. Irritation with the 1-pedal driving button aside. The heating and cooling controls are like sensibly laid out. There's nice like feedback on the screens and things when you're adjusting the temperatures. So thought has gone into this, and it's a nice place to be. I've got to mention the comedy placement of the seat heaters as well. Yeah, people whinge about it is very easy to knock them with your knee, as you can see. Especially if I'm 6'1", so probably not. This car probably wasn't designed with someone of my height in mind, but my wife, who's substantial, a lot short, petite. She's petite. She obviously doesn't have this issue, and I imagine, this was probably made for a different market in mind, and I imagine it's not a big issue with a lot of drivers, but it's a tiny, tiny foible. Okay, tokenistic mention. This has got an HDMI point. Holy shit! Everybody freak out. How amazingly genius of Honda to put an HDMI port in here. I mean, I've never used it. I think it's very unlikely I'm gonna really want to look at my laptop or watch a video or play Mario Kart on a tiny, tiny narrow screen here. But I guess sometimes it would be fun to do while waiting to rapid charge. It's a cool novelty to have, but I don't get why people are so totally enamored by the addition of an HDMI point. It's like, holy Honda's put an HDMI in their car, this is amazing. And I certainly, as an owner, I certainly don't feel that. I could care less that it's got an HDMI. The same with the 3-pin. It's got a 3-pin socket in here, which I'm sure 4 or 5 times in the next year is going to be useful, but it's not something I'm going to be using every day. It's definitely not something that I get particularly excited about. It's a cool addition, and fair play to Honda. These buttons up here, I'm a big fan of. Well done, Honda. Yes, I like the fake wood. It makes it feel a little bit more premium in here. The volume knobs, nice and tactile. It is unusual, I think, that there's a separate button here to turn the audio on and off. So for some bizarre reason, most cars would have you just push this button in, obviously rotate it to turn the volume up and down, push it in to turn the volume on and off. For some reason, Honda don't have that. If anyone's got an idea about why that may be, I'd love to hear. But essentially to turn, if you've got audio on and you press this button, it kills the audio. This toggles between like super bright display and I guess at night time if it's not super bright, and then the home button obviously takes you back to takes the infotainment thing back to home or whatever the hell this is. I won't bore you with all of the fiddling around with the infotainment system. It's functional. Most of the time I use CarPlay. It's a million times better, and this thing just Honda's infotainment system is subpar, to be kind to it. Hopefully it'll get updated. It's not a deal breaker, it's usable, but there's like little UI flaws which are irritating, and I'm guessing it's something that we'll like adapt to using. Okay, we're going to go driving in a minute. We're at 77%. I'm not one of those that stays on rapid chargers beyond 80%, so we're going to jump off in a moment. But a very quick comment on the layout of this screen, the driver infotainment screen here, the driver binnacle, sorry. So a lot of EVs, I guess we're spoiled. The Tesla, for example, has got a beautiful UI. It's really easy to understand, information sensibly laid out. You can see what you need to see at a glance. This thing is very, very different. There's information everywhere. You probably saw it over my shoulder when I was driving earlier. There's information all over the place. It's not intuitively laid out. I often find I'm searching with my eyes to figure out what's where, especially as a new owner driver. There's a learning curve. There's a learning curve to this UI, and that's not good. Like, that is bad form, Honda. You should not have to. Yes, maybe this is unfair because I'm guessing some people would say there's a learning curve to a Tesla where you're having to glance off to the side to actually like review the information, but I would argue the Tesla is, yes, it's a change of kind of it's a break from the norm, isn't it? Because we're used to driver binnacles being directly in front of the steering wheel. So the Tesla is easy to adapt to. It feels intuitive very, very quickly. This is not. I'm disappointed with the layout of information on this screen. For my tastes, it's much too busy. And the same can be said for the steering wheel controls. What the Honda? Why is this so difficult to use? Why did you make it? It's so grossly unintuitive. I actually had to read the manual about how to activate cruise control and like lane keep assist and all that. It's really it's really crazily complicated in my opinion. So yeah, it's not a deal breaker. Once you've glanced at the manual and like used it several times, driven several times on longer journeys and kind of had time to play around with it, you do get used to it. But it's definitely got a learning curve, which I can't say for a lot of other vehicles. There was something else. Oh yeah, that was it. I was going to say the last thing about the steering wheel and the controls in here. The steering wheel's got flappy paddles on, so in Honda's, you can see there's the plus, there's the minus. In Honda's infinite wisdom, they didn't enable one pedal driving by default. So if you don't have one pedal driving on, if you haven't got that button activated, you can use the flappy paddles to dial in the amount of regen that you want when you're driving. For any commenters out there, I appreciate we've just gone over 80%. I'm going to finish this brief bit about the flappy paddles and then I'm going to get the hell off this rapid charger. There's nobody else waiting at the minute. I can see there's no EVs around us at the minute. The flappy paddles are a nice idea, but why? This one's labelled minus, this one's labelled plus. Anyone with, surely it would make sense for the plus paddle to increase regen. Would that make sense to you? If that says plus and that says minus, and you know that these paddles are related to regen, surely the plus paddle would increase regen. No, No, that would be stupid. The minus paddle increases regen, and the plus paddle increases glide. What the Honda? Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. These are for regen. It's so irritating. You obviously get used to it after you've pressed the wrong ones a couple of times. Your brain, you adapt your behaviour, but it's another kind of clanger from Honda. I do not understand why they would create a product that is so unintuitive. You press the minus paddle to increase the regen. So if you don't have one pedal driving on and you want to slow down faster, you would press this 2 or 3 times, and that would dramatically increase the regen and therefore the speed at which the car decelerates. If you want to increase the glide of the car and reduce regen when you let go of the accelerator, then you press the plus paddle. It's really unintuitive. It's irritating. I have no idea why Honda did it that way, but they did. Again, I feel like I've lapsed into like criticising this car, but it's because I love it and I enjoy driving it, that these minor irritations stand out a little bit more. Some of them are kind of unforgivable, but this, like the lack of always on one pedal driving in a modern EV. But this is Honda's first proper EV, so maybe we can cut them some slack, and hopefully some of these things can be adjusted in software updates. Like you could potentially swap what these paddles do in a setting, and presumably you could map it so that one pedal driving's on automatically. Anyway, I'm going to unplug from this rapid charger. We're at 83%. How long have we been on this rapid for? Let's have a peek. Don't know if you can see that over there. We've been on for just over 30 minutes, I think 37 minutes, which isn't too bad. We're at 84%. We'll jump off this rapid now and we'll get back on the road. Let's get ready to rumble. So yeah, here's the deal with 360 camera operation. It's awesome. I really love it in this car. So stick it in reverse, immediately the 360 camera comes on, and it's really clear, isn't it? It's really intuitive. The combination of the side camera mirrors and the 360 camera and the absolutely insane turning circle and maneuverability of this car make it a cinch to park and drive. It's really nice. The other thing I really like about this car, which I've noticed recently when parking in like busy places, look at that. It warns you when it notices a car is approaching. So it dramatically reduces the chances of you accidentally pulling out into another car, which is a really nice feature and really sensible, and greatly appreciated, Honda. Good job. Now, I can see. I should have just looked on the camera. It's much easier to see on there because of the awesome field of view. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on my mic, but the Honda has a really cool futuristic low speed noise. So when it's moving around, this is one of those times, by the way, when I haven't got one pedal driving on and it comes as a little bit of a surprise. So I've had to activate it there. Anyway, the Honda's low speed noise is really nice. It sounds like a spaceship, basically. No, that's doing it a disservice. It sounds like a combination between a spaceship and a soothing kind of kind of mellow sound that's like going ah. That's how I would describe it, and it's it sounds really cool, futuristic, nice, calming, obviously wants pedestrians. So all of those things are winners for me. Let's stick it in sport up here and give it some beans. Right. I haven't really talked about what it's like to drive. I've whinged about some of the interior foibles. I've whinged a bit about the range. It's really, really, really fun to drive. It feels nippy. It feels, despite its weight, it feels like darty in a good way, like manoeuvrable, speedy, reasonably quick off the line. My wife and I, having been used to i3s and the Tesla, do notice a palpable decline. My wife and I do notice a tiny lag when flooring it. So I'm gonna floor it here. So there's maybe like a half-second lag between, not half second. There's a perceptible but limited lag between you stamping on the throttle, even in sport mode, and the car launching. And in my opinion, and I've heard other reviewers comment on this, it's perhaps to appeal to people who are coming from an internal combustion engine and aren't used to the kind of rapidity and dartiness of a EV. So there's some discussion about whether Honda have intended to do this to make the car more acceptable to, first-time EV drivers, and that's fine by me. It's not a big deal when it's still really rapid off the line, and really usable in urban environments like this. But yeah, it's really nice to drive. It feels maneuverable. You feel connected to it. I guess that's probably one of the biggest things. How many cars have you driven where your inputs don't really feel like mapped to what's happening with the wheels and the actual body of the car? Do you know, like, for those of you who enjoy driving and have felt it before, like the most fun I have in cars is when I can kind of feel through my buttocks what the car's doing, and it doesn't feel like, it feels predictable, I suppose is what I'm saying, and you feel like you trust it and you know what it's going to do. And that car definitely feels like this. As you start to like push it a little bit more and go a little bit faster and maybe like take turns a little bit quicker, you definitely feel like you can predict what the body's going to do and what the how much kind of give you've got in the rear of the car and stuff like that. And that makes it really fun to drive because it inspires confidence. It's easy to drive, like there's nothing complaints about the UI aside, there's nothing like difficult about driving this car, but that means you can spend your time in it having a lot of fun and enjoying the experience. So yeah, initial impressions, having owned this for 2 weeks and driven it quite a bit, stolen it from my wife quite a bit, it's a really lovely car. It's a nice size. We've got two small kids, 9 and 7, and they fit absolutely perfectly in the back. Despite me being 6'1", I fit in this absolutely fine. I think all of the kind of tech on it is sensible and useful, maybe with the minor exception of the video rear view camera. Maybe it's like where maybe I haven't driven this in the right places. A lot of reviewers are like, oh my god, people like freak out when they see the Honda E, everyone's pointing and staring. Like, people definitely do look at it, and this is a yellow one. This is a bright yellow car. People definitely do look and think, oh, what's that? But I haven't really had like mad, like people aren't like freaking out and taking camera phone pictures, or like it's not, despite it being bright yellow and an unusual looking car. I I'm conscious that a lot of reviewers have said that it really draws attention, and I imagine that might put some people off. Obviously, don't get a bright yellow one. I think if you're really not seeking to court attention, don't get a bright yellow one. There's lots of other nice colours, but even in the yellow one, I find we don't get like crazy attention, so you don't feel really conspicuous, which for me is a good thing, because I'd rather just like not have people pointing and staring and stuff like that. That's my wife texting us there to say, where is the car? Where the hell are you? We're heading back now, so she'll get her car back in a moment. I'll talk a little bit more about what I love so much about the exterior of this car, but I'd say like one of the biggest things, one of the major standout things for me are the lights. The body shape is awesome. I love this colour. It's proportions, the wheelbase. I don't really care that the boot's tiny, it's absolutely fine for us. All of those things are really nice, but I love the lights on this car. The headlights and the tail lights in particular. I think Honda have done a really sensible thing by giving it lights that are characterful, There's no denying that when people see this car, because of those the headlights are like eyes, aren't they? That's always, people anthropomorphize the cars all the time, and there's no doubt at all that because of this car's lights, it looks like a friendly little car, and it's really nice. As someone who's seen a couple of E's on the road, I find it really, when I see another E, I think, oh, it's a bonny little car, but as the owner, as well as someone who walks towards this thing, and its little face lights up as you walk towards it, its lights kind of blink at you, that really sounds gimmicky, I imagine, to non-owners or people who haven't driven an E, but it really it's really cool when you're actually in it, and it definitely gives you you feel you can't help but fall in love with the car, the looks of the car, and I say that as someone who doesn't name their cars or any of that. I just feel like it's... Oh, is he going to let us in? Thanks, mate. You're a good one. Thank you. Yeah, it's really nice, and I find that an enjoyable thing about it. Its little face. I'll do some... I'll pop some footage in future updates about driving at night. So far, I've driven this quite a lot at night, and just because it's getting darker now. So far, I find it's really, really good. The visibility in the side mirrors is great. The rear camera isn't fantastic so far. It's definitely of a lower resolution than the side mirrors, but it's not a deal breaker. It doesn't make it dangerous or anything. So yeah, I'll provide some more footage soon, but thanks for joining us so far, and look forward to updating you with more discussion about the E soon. And maybe we could interview my wife, who is probably a good, can offer an alternative perspective on it.